All right, steering column time. I'm gonna just fit up the steering column, get this kind of in place so I know what it looks like. This is not an expensive Flaming River steering column. This is made from the very best Chinesium available. This is an Amazon purchase. It was extremely cheap. I want to check it out, give it an honest opinion, and see if it's worth using or not. But it's certainly okay to mock up with. But I'm gonna give this a go and see what it's like. We'll see. So this is the link for it. It is, like I said, very inexpensive, but it's an automatic transmission, shift on the column, key in the dash, steering column with tilt. That's the key. It's got to have tilt. All right, let's pull this out and see what we got here. We'll unbox it. Let me put you on the stand and we'll see what we got. All right, I'm gonna hang on to the box because once I get it fitted up, I gotta put it all back away. Okay, so it's got the shift indicator with a number of different lenses. I'm not sure I need that. I'm not sure I want that. But we'll see if we can actually leave it out. This is some screws to hold the steering wheel on or whatnot. Okay, there's the shift lever. And all the other various levers and controls that come with it. So the kit seems fairly complete. The pieces are all billet aluminum and forged aluminum and steel. Billet aluminum rods, steel rods. Let's see what this column looks like. Has a 1-inch double D for the end. It has this connector, which is the flat connector, and I believe that's a ground. Now, let's see. Are there any instructions whatsoever with this luxurious kit? Nope. You are on your own, cowboy. On your own. So, I am going to fit this up. Now, it comes with a 9-bolt hub. I'm not going to use that yet. I'm going to put that right back in here. I'm going to fit this up with the, what am I thinking about? I'm going to fit this up with just a regular hub because I have a regular, I think it's a 6-bolt steering wheel in the cabinet over there that I can use to mock everything up and not worry about messing up a good steering wheel. Yeah, so it looks like this little number here is where the arch mounts on for the park. You know, the gear select goes on here like so, and it's lit. There's a light. I don't know, this just looks like ground, but I could be totally wrong about that, which is awesome. I'm assuming this is standard GM pinout, but again, we'll figure that out as we go along, I'm sure. Would have been nice had there been any instructions. That would have been a bonus. But, let's see. Feels tight. I don't feel anything too weird. It's definitely got bearings in it because I can feel them. All right, let's see how this goes in and see what we got to do to make it work. Like I said, it's got a flat shift arm or the angled shift arm that's on it. You can replace this with either one. That's kind of nice. Not sure which one I'll need, and I'm not sure I'll even get that rigged up. I'm not going to mock that up now because I don't need to mock up the lever. I just need to make sure everything's going to work. So, let's, I just want to get my steering column and all my pieces kind of situated down through around the headers and all of that. So that's where I'm going to work next. Let's see what happens. Let me get out the rest of the parts that I have. Okay, so these are the parts I typically use. I have a my mounting bracket to tie it to the bottom of the dash. Then I have a kind of a ball and socket affair here to get it through the firewall. So I'll make a plate that accepts that. Then I have my steering column. Now I like to use these collapsible columns just so that, you know, the steering column doesn't turn into a spear if you get into an accident. And it has a 3/4 inch double D on one end and a 1 inch double D on the other. So I've got a 1 inch to 1 inch double D here so that I can adapt to that. Then I have my 3/4 double D to the Chevrolet spline here to go onto the rack. We'll get to that in a bit. But first, I'm going to try to just get this thing somewhat set up. First, I'm going to take my bracket, just get it where it needs to be. Now there's 2 bolt holes in the dash already for the old Chevrolet bracket, which I don't think will work. They were certainly further apart than these. So I'm going to take this apart. And get it ready to install. So these are nice because they're adjustable. You can, you know, any angle will work. Let me just get this pulled apart. There. Now I did put the tilt lever on it just to make it easier to maneuver. Now, if my bracket's got to come up from the dash, it's got to tilt this way, so I got to make sure my rounded section is forward. Put this little slip piece on here just to keep it protected. I'll rotate this exactly upside down to start, I think. Now, this is supposed to be a 2-inch shaft. Yeah, it looks that way. So I'll slip this on here just to hold the rubber in place. Might not need the rubber on this one, it's super tight, so let's try it without it first. Seems to be spot on. Again, keeping the rounded edge forward, or up in this case. Now, I'm not going to snug all this up just yet. I'm just going to get this in here finger tight, because I don't know how high up that has to be yet. But I just want to get it somewhat together so I can start the process. Yeah, that's going to hold just fine on that by itself. Yep. Okay. I don't have it clocked right yet, but that's a good start. Okay. The other thing I'm going to throw on is, I guess, like I said, I bought a cheap plate here just to hold my steering wheel on while I do this process. I'm going to take the horn button off. That's your horn ring. I'm going to pull that while I do everything else here, just so I don't mess that up. The horn ring that came with it, with this kit, is a little different, but I won't be using that anyway. This is really just for mock-up purposes. So I'm going to get this on. Start a nut. Not going to tighten it right up or anything. I'm just going to throw this on so that when I go to do my steering wheel, crap, that's going to go over it. I have something on there that'll keep the crap out of it and allow me to turn the wheel as needed. All right, so next, I guess the next thing I need to do is go, this should go right on too. Oh, I got to pull this off. Got to pull the shift lever off to get the bezel ring up in there. Let me grab some wrenches. That is guaranteed to be metric. Affirmative. From the I'm just going to keep this off for now because I'm going to have this in and out 100 times, no doubt. I'll just put it in a Ziploc bag with all the other parts for it. Okay, so far this doesn't look bad. I mean, this isn't Flaming River quality, or I did it. It's, but for the $100 and some odd I spent on this thing, I can't really complain. All right, let me put the shift levers and screws in this bag, just so they don't go missing. And then this bag goes with that thing. Alrighty, so now let's go see what we got to do to get this mounted up. What's the spacing? The spacing is 2.25, 2 1/4, 2 1/4. Okay, let me figure that out and I'll bring you back. Okay, so this is all looking pretty reasonable. I have thrown the wheel in, just put the wheel on, mounted my bracket, got it headed down through the hole in the firewall. So next I've got to figure out the end down here. There is really limited good options to get that out. I just stuck a double D shaft up in the steering column as a reference to kind of project the line, but it looks like I've got to carry this shaft down to here before I brake to head into the, steering box from this angle over. And you can see I got plenty of flexibility on moving this around. I don't want to go too low with it, but it works up here. So I need a double D coupler, a solid coupler, which I do not have right now. So I'm gonna have to order that and maybe another piece of double D shaft. But I'll get that pulled together and we will hit that on the next video. But as of right now, the steering wheel is kind of located. So with that, I'm gonna throw a seat in it, make sure I don't have a problem with length or anything. And I'm also gonna put the pedal up, start looking at how that has to go in for the brake booster. I've got a firewall brake booster that has to go in, but I think there's some work that needs to be done around modifying the bracketry and stuff. So I'm gonna pull that out next, I guess, and get going on that. But yeah, I got to get a couple more pieces for the steering column, and I'll bring you right back. It'll be just like that. Okay, so next we're going to fit up the brake master cylinder. This is the Midnight Series kit from CPP. That's the part number. Firewall power booster kit. Yes. I kind of hoped that the master cylinder would be black as well. It is not. That sucks. So I will pull that apart and paint it. Really nice looking setup though. Nice bracketry. Everything is rugged, as you would hope. So we're going to just kind of explore how this goes together and see what we got to do with it. It actually looks pretty easy, except for the bracket I just put in for the steering wheel is probably in the way of these two brackets, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm going to start to figure this out, drag the instructions out, and see what I have here. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is cut this bracket out. Now I've already taken out the piece down here that goes in. Where'd it go? I think I threw it out there. Anyway, I like to cut it into a few different pieces. The problem is it's bolted at the bottom down here, you can see. It's spot welded underneath the front of the dash. I had to drill out a few spot welds. But then it's spot welded up into the cowl and to the firewall. You can see I started to drill out the ones on the firewall a little bit. But I think what I'm going to do, just to make this a little easier, because I'm nervous, I don't want to really drill into the cowl. So I think I'm going to cut off these up here, like right along that edge. They'll be out of the way enough that my bracket won't interfere with those. So I'm just going to zip those off at the top first and then start working on those spot welds back in towards on the very upper edge of the firewall. So that's my plan. I'll show you what I got in a second here. I don't want to keep the camera in those sparks. Okay, so that's all cleared up. I cut that out and I just kind of tap that flange up. Now it says to work down from that seam in that groove and pop. I see I popped a little 1/8 hole right there at 5 1/4 inches. That's the reference point for the first bolt hole in the bracket. It's supposed to be over there. So I'm going to just drill that out, and then this little spacer affair sits on the inside in that groove, and there's another spacer that sits on the outside to keep it all flush. Pretty nice little setup. So give me a second here and I'll show you what I'm into. Okay, so now I've popped those 2 holes through there and put that spacer in. Now I'll have 2 studs hanging out here. And I can use those to space over the other part of this bracket. So let me show you. All right, so I just took my 2 bolts, I just put some bolts through that spacer, hung my thing on the outside here, hung my bracket, and just marked the other 2 holes that I needed. Now I'm just going to run those out to the proper size with a step drill. Just quickly knock those out. Okay, there we go. Now I can get my bracket back up there and mark out where I've got to cut a 2 1/8 inch hole now. Yeah, 2 1/8 diameter hole in the center of that. So yeah, let's get that bolted up. All right, so back onto the go left, go right control. I got the go slow control. That's all mounted up. Got a little more work to do on that, but I wanted to get this done first. So I made this plate. This will fit right in this pocket, cover up all the holes very nicely. I threw in a couple of holes through it so I can hold it in place while I do the next part, which is just to That's not going to fit. I need smaller bolts. Anyway, now I just got to cut this out. I'm going to take a hole saw that fits right in that hole nicely and hog that out. So that's really my plan for that. Then I can get the steering column mounted up and see where we're at with all of these pieces. I also threw this seat in. This is just a 2003 Avalanche seat. I like these because they have the seat belt and everything integrated into it, the shoulder harness. I don't know if I'm going to use this or not, but it's just a good seat to throw in there and see what I got. So let me hog that hole out and we'll see what's happening. Okay, so got that in there. Just literally just had to use that hole saw that fit in the hole, and of course it tried to kill me, but it didn't succeed. So now I am going to get the steering shaft extended so I can get down to where I need to be with that, and I'll show you what I'm into there. Okay, so I've taken my steering column and I put it in my handy pipe vise. I made a little extension on for it, put a little piece of double D shaft inside. Now I'm going to get a cold rag so I can cool this off quick and slowly work my way around this. I've got it clamped to a piece of angle iron just to keep it straight, but I'm just going to tack this in a few places, probably rotate the angle iron once, then tack it again, and then slowly weld that up so I don't overheat my shaft. But that's my plan. All right, so I've got that welded up, spray painted. I tried really hard not to heat up into here. You know, I kept cooling it, welding a little more, cooling it. I went as far as I dare, but it's good, solid setup. So I put a little black paint on it just to keep it from rusting, and now we're ready to fit this up again. Okay, I feel like I'm jumping around a little bit here, but I've got to kind of do these things in order and make it as easy as possible to get in here and do the deed, right? So I bought this gas pedal affair here, and I got that nice little flat spot right up there. That's where I think I'm going to try to mount this. I'm going to try to get it over as far as I can, but I'm going to mount it like right there, which means I just need to mark where the throttle cable would ultimately go through the firewall, so I can just take a look out in the other side and make sure that works. Now this pedal assembly was made, or sold I should say, as a solution for a 55 Tri-5 Chevy pedal. I had to change the angle of this pad a little bit, just cut and bent it and re-welded it. But that's basically where I'm at with that. So, you know, it's going to look good. It's going to match good. I've got to get my brake pedal down lower. It's just too high right now. But there's certainly plenty of swing here for this. And then I'm going to want to make sure I have a stop rigged up under this pedal at some point so that I'm not, when I'm putting it to the floorboards, I am not pushing or causing stress on the throttle body. So that looks pretty good right there. I like that. I'm going to just put a couple marks on there so I can, if everything works out, I can drill those holes. Okay, that looks pretty good. It has that convenient little flat spot right there. I have no idea what that was originally intended for, but it's going to work good for this. So here we go. All right, so the concern I have that I'm trying to check out here is I've marked the firewall roughly where that cable's going to come out, which height-wise is about perfect to where it's got to attach here. Unfortunately, boy, that's kind of a tall ask. Now I have this cable kit, pretty basic, and I think I've got enough room to swing that. That cable looks flexible enough so that I'm not going to put too much bind on it if I just come out, kind of S-curve that into the bracket, pull that all the way forward. Yeah, I got room. That's going to work nicely. I've got to check. I've got another bracket that I believe has the round hole in it. I've got to look at that. And then, of course, just hooking it up to the ball on the arm. Throttle arm. So, yeah, that's way better than I had hoped. So I can't really complain about that. I'm gonna just get this rigged up and drill some holes, and we'll go and see what we got. Okay, so this is gonna work out really nice. I do need to cut this. And this is just stainless steel braided PTFE hose, but I have a really nice way of cutting this now. Let me just stick it in the vise here. That I tried to show you on a previous video, but apparently it did not record. Awesome. So, I've been using this thing, which is a little tiny diamond wheel on this little baby cutter. And it works super slick for cutting this stuff. I struggled to find a good way to cut this without introducing a ton of debris. Or the other thing that was happening is, you use cutters, it crushes it. So I've switched to using this thing, and I couldn't be happier. So literally, just start it up and zip it through. Look how nice that cuts. That is just beautiful. Anyway, okay. Now let's bring this back over and see what we got here. Yeah, I'm glad I got the 3-foot one instead of the 2, huh? That's all I needed, but I didn't know at the time. Ah, crap, I cut it too short. All right, I gotta cut that, cut it too long. I gotta cut that again. I'll bring you right back. And there you go. Man, I got lucky there. Any tighter, I'd be nervous about that S-turn, but that looks really good. Really good. So, anywho, now I'm going to mount up the pedal, get that secured, and see how it all works with the throttle return and everything else. Okay, so I've got that rigged up. I had to move my hole over a little bit because it wasn't lining up real good with the pedal throw. But I've also got to change the angle of how it goes through the firewall a little bit. So I'm going to probably just box that out a little, just build a little impression there, make it look nice, so that when the throttle goes through, it's nice and flat. So that pretty much wraps up the throttle pedal, the go fast pedal, the go fast control. Now I'm going to switch, because now that I got that in there, I can kind of see where my brake pedal needs to go down a lot. Way too high right now, which is good because legroom is at a premium here. So next thing I'm going to do is just adjust that pedal down a little bit, to the brake pedal down so it matches. It's super easy. You just unhook this turnbuckle, which has a nice clip on it. Just take that down, slide that out, and then I can turn this in more. So I'm going to do that next, and I'll bring you back, show you what I got. Okay, that's a little better. It's hard to see the difference, but your brake pedal is supposed to be higher by like 1.5 inches, I think. . I'll have to look that up to find the exact. There is a spec for that, believe it or not. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is now I'm going to go back to putting in the steering column and see if I can't get that lined up with all my holes and stuff. So yeah, let's try that. Okay, so we got the steering column in. That came out pretty decent. So that's all fine. The seat is not great for this application. It's too tall. So here's the issue I ran into. I was getting ready to put in the collapsible column between the steering box and this first knuckle right here, and found out that this has some oddball size shaft coming out of the steering rack. It appears to be, it's like 0.667 double D. I don't know what that is, so I'm trying to figure that out and see if there's a U-joint available, because I got the 36 spline 3/4, which is what you would have expected, but it's not that. So I don't know if there's some sort of adapter I can make to go from this spline to that or what. So I've got to do some research on that, figure that out. That's unfortunate. I was hoping to have that done today, but you know, as part of this controls section, that's kind of where I was at. Now, I don't dare cut that collapsible shaft yet or get any of that other stuff fitted up until I know what that U-joint looks like. You just never know how that's going to go. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and research that a little bit, and if I find something here, I will flash it up on the screen, but I will get that on order quickly once I figure out how to do it. Might have to consult some of the forums and things like that, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, so that basically takes care of the go fast control, go slow control, go left, go right. Now I just need the oh shit control, which I'll show you where that's going to go. Okay, that's the oh shit control, the handbrake. So I fabricated this bracket, and this will tie the cables back to the Corvette calipers. So I'm going to, I built this so that it would hang off the transmission, so it'll be like a floor brake, handbrake. But just thought it looked cool. I've seen this in a couple other trucks, so I figured that'd be a really nice way to do it. So I'm just gonna throw this in here, and I'll bring you back and show you how it mounts up. Okay, there you go. You can see how that mounts up. I just picked up the 3 of the bolts on the back of the tail housing on that transmission and put slightly longer bolts in it. But the idea being, now you got a good control. It's below the pan. Everything is good shape. All I got to do now is run my e-brake cables up to this bracket, and it sits up out of the way when you're driving. Just give it to her. So, you know, I do like to have a parking brake or emergency brake, whatever you want to call it. I just don't, you know, if anything were to fail catastrophically, that could get you out of trouble in a hurry, you know. So anyway, that's what that looks like. I'm going to take that all back apart now and clean up that bracket and powder coat it. But that's what that piece looks like, and I kind of like it. It fits up under the dash nice. It's all within reach of the driver, so pretty good shape. I like it. All right, I'm going to pull that back apart now and powder coat it. Okay, back at the steering shaft. I spoke to Russell, Nerd Rods. Guy's amazing. He hooked me up with this little joint down in there, which is this joint. That is a 17 millimeter double D for the Corvette. I measured it at like 16.666 or something like that. So 17 millimeter makes total sense. So now I'm going to work on the link between that U-joint and that U-joint. And I like to use these collapsible joints. That way your steering column doesn't turn into a spear if you have the big one. Just a personal preference of mine. I do not like solid columns. There has to be some collapsible element in it somewhere. And it makes it easier to put together. So, first thing, I measured out 10 inches, which is what my, what I need to have for shaft. So that's what it would look like in the rig. I might cheat it this way just a little bit more, but just because I got to know where the I can't have the collapsible end right to here, right? So I'm going to cut this side off first, figure it out, and work backwards. Or I could just probe the end of it with a rod and see how deep I am. Why would I do that? Yeah, you gotta be super careful with this. It would be very, very easy to cut this too short. So I'm gonna cheat this a full inch this way. When I run my rod in there right now, that would be all the collapse I have. So by giving it another inch or so, I can get a little more, collapsible, maybe there. And then I will measure up 10 inches and cut it off up here. So that's what I'm gonna do next. Here, so I pulled this apart so you can see how it's made. There's just this piece of spring steel that keeps it tight in there. You wanna have a little bit of leverage. So if I cut it here and then come back up here for my 10-inch mark, that's where it would sit normally installed. I think that'll be okay. And it's just a slip-on rubber boot right there. So yeah, that's where I'm headed. All right, and there we have it. That's the collapsible shaft down to there. It's got about 3 inches of collapse, but with 2 U-joints, that's fine. If it ever tried to suck that up, it would buckle out of the way anyway. So it makes it the collapsible one just makes it a lot easier to put together, take apart, and all that too. So definitely worth doing. So yeah, that's it. So there you go. There's the go fast, go slow, go left, go right, and the go shit handle. We're all ready to go. I just wanted to get all this metal work out of the way so everything was fit up before I pulled the cab back off and started looking at, I've got to fill in a bunch of holes on this dash now and make new holes for the vintage air setup. And, there's a lot to do here. So, but I really just wanted to get this metal work out of the way before I pulled it. I have marked where my master cylinder brake booster is so that I can mount my, once I get that out of the way, I'll know exactly how far out I can come with my, my fuse panel and my pass-through, which is where the wiring will come through the firewall right there. You can see where the inner fender came up through here. So I think I'm in really good shape there for space. And it'll be up out of the way and behind the dash and all that. I've also marked out, it's really hard to see, but I marked out on that back wall where I can do the pass-through wiring for all the gauges and Dakota Digital stuff. So that'll be good. You got to pass through for the fuse panel, but then you also got to pass through for everything else too. So I just like to do it that way. What else? Yeah, that'll wrap this one up, I think. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate you tuning in every week and checking out what I'm into. It makes it fun for me. And I hope this helps somebody else. So anyway, I'm gonna now tear this all back apart again. Woo! Great. But that'll be next week's job. Pull this all back down, lift the cab off, put the chassis away again. I got a few things to do on the chassis still, like run the emergency brake cables, the e-brake cables, and the few other little pieces and bits and baubles that just weren't done yet. So, but you know, it's coming along. This is gonna be a nice ride. I can't wait to get this one done. I'm getting impatient with it, but it's mostly because I just want to have it done because I'm really looking forward to see how this thing looks all built up. But anyway, that's part of the game, right? You just got to work your way through it and make a list, keep checking stuff off, and make progress every day you're out here. And some days it doesn't feel like you're making much, but having a list where you can just check things off makes a big difference because you can see what you've done in a day. It doesn't seem like sometimes at the end of the day you accomplish much until you look at your list and say, oh shit, I checked off 20 items today. So I use an app called AnyList. There's a thing on my About page here about it on YouTube, and it really just kind of just helps keep me organized, and when I think of things and when I need to order stuff and all that, just makes it easier for me to keep it in mind. So that's kind of how I roll with it. I just got to connect that. Warranted void if check valve removed. Oh. I don't want to remove the check valve, geez. But anyway, that hooks up down here to the plate, so that'll be a nice, easy run. There's some tubing. This motor setup, I hope it runs as good as it looks because I love that Aces setup and how they did it with the... Holly has a similar setup with the high-rise intake or a mid-rise intake. I've got all kinds of room here. I could put a blower under this thing and still close the hood. So I'm not worried about that at all. The motor sits really nice and low, more the Corvette height versus the truck height, which I like. But yeah, got to keep plugging here, and I'll appreciate you watching, and we'll...